Hey everybody, welcome to episode 19 of So I've Been Told. My name is Adam Kramer and this is my podcast. On my podcast, I like to talk to people, mostly my friends, who do cool stuff, mostly related to music and DIY culture. So, my guest today is one of my closest friends. It is Stephen Haramis. He is the drummer in the band TreadWater that I'm currently in. No, he's not the drummer, he's the guitarist. He was the drummer in a band called Endangered Youth that I used to be in. The intro music for this show is an Endangered Youth song. Anyway, he and I go back, like way back, when we met when we were like 15. So this episode was super fun for me to put together. It's a long one. There's a lot of information, a lot of music clips from stuff that he's made. And yeah, I had a lot of fun putting this together, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. We recorded it a couple months ago. I've been working on it for a while, and there was a windstorm and the power was out, so we recorded it on my laptop in the dark at his house, and his dog was there. Django was there's a good portion of the conversation where you can hear Django breathing in the background, so it is what it is. It's maybe my favorite so far. All right, enjoy. So, Steve, we've been friends for a long ass time.
Half our life.
Yeah.
Literally half our life now.
How did you get into punk? Well, you've listened to these broadly punk, any underground music.
How to get into it?
Yeah, or metal or whatever, music that's not mainstream. What was your introduction to it?
So, Jimmy Madera?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like somehow we should attach him to this. I remember being 11, maybe, and I knew him through church. When my family went to church when I was young, and we kind of grew up together. And I remember him I gotta show you something. And it was the big boom box, So he had a Zayo CD. I think it was Where Fire and Blood Bring Rest, or a demo off that, or something like that. And I remember listening to the first track off there, and being I've never heard anyone sound like that.
Yeah.
So once I heard that, I had to have it. So I feel that was my introduction. It was Jimmy Madera, Show Me Zayo.
Nice.
And that was probably the heaviest thing I've ever listened to, because I'd probably listen to some shitty, I don't know, new metal thing before that, but I think that was the real introduction to alternative music at that point.
So you didn't fuck around.
No.
You went straight to
the heavy stuff.
Real heavy shit.
And it's funny because when I was little, I listened to jazz and classical music, so quite a jump.
Yeah.
I think everyone, and this was on your last episode, I remember talking about Linkin Park, I think everyone listened to Hybrid Theory.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone in our generation did listen to Hybrid Theory, so I feel that was kind of heavier-ish, but not to the level of Zayo.
Yeah, well, I remember it was 8th grade when that record came out for us.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know you yet, but, every single person had that album.
Wasn't that before 8th grade?
It may have came out in, 7th, but I remember, the 8th grade year was when everybody had it.
Just look up the date of that.
I can, but...
Make sure that date is
accurate. Then I gotta figure out what year we were in 8th grade. But yeah,
So Jimmy played that song, and then I showed it to my mom, and my mom was like, "Oh no, you can't listen to that." But then she did. She let me listen to it. I don't think she complained. As long as it was on my headphones and I didn't play it out loud in my room,
yeah,
I was allowed to listen to that.
I forgot that there's no internet because there's no power. Also, I'm not connected to your internet anyway, even if there was power.
Yeah.
So Anyway, I'd have to look it up on my phone, and I don't really care enough to bother. But yeah, like that was when Limp Bizkit was huge, and then Linkin Park didn't have any it didn't have the parental advisory sticker, so everybody could have it.
The fact if you remember a parental advisory sticker is important too. You know, like there's not even such a thing anymore.
I guess not. Well, I don't know. Like I think the last album that I would have bought that has more on it is that To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
And I think that had a sticker on it.
Really? But it was like a hard copy that had a sticker on.
Yeah. But I mean, nobody's really buying that many. Like nobody's buying like mainstream CDs anymore. I don't remember why I did.
Oh.
I saw it at Target and I was like, I like this record and I want to own it. But so when did you first start playing music?
I played piano when I was like really little, just kind of messing around on a family piano. But I also took lessons when I was really young. Trumpet. I played trumpet in like 4th grade, and I played piano in like 5th or 6th grade, maybe. I took like one guitar lesson, but I think the woman was so old I thought she was going to die during the lesson. She couldn't breathe, so I stopped going to those. And then I never took any more lessons after that. So then I didn't play music again, just like for playing, like, you know, like playing shows and whatnot, till probably around the time you were in Red Eyes or Blue Skies, and I was playing I was doing like a piano thing, where I wrote these little songs and tried to play them in coffee shops, and I had this expectation that people would care about that, which they did not care about that. But I think it was just, I wanted to be playing, because I think I saw you going first, playing music live, and I was like, I want to play music live too, but I don't have a band, so what can I do to like share that same thing? I wanted to have that same thing, so you know, the only thing I had was the little Casio piano, so I wanted to do it too. But in retrospect, I feel like I probably could have found a band, but
yeah, I mean, I still think like that stuff you were writing was cool. Like some of it was like weird and cheesy, but like I thought there was like real cool, pretty piano stuff.
For what it was, you know, like for considering that, you know, there was no real like theory behind it. It was just some noodling around piano.
Yeah. Well, and the stuff that I would think is probably cheesy now was like the stuff that I could hear how like you like almost played like hardcore breakdowns. On the piano, so it was like that. I could hear how it was connected, and it made sense.
Like I said, I think I just really wanted to play in a band, and that was the only thing I like had to play on, you know.
What was those were? Did you play many shows here in Rochester that were like with other bands? As when you were doing the piano thing, or was that mostly?
There was just a Celtic band that friends of John's. They went to RIT, and I'm gonna. Fuck, I can't remember the name.
Is it Without Question?
Was it Without Question?
I don't remember.
They played like Celtic-ish songs, and we played like 2 or 3 shows together. I played with Dan Kushner at one point.
Yeah.
In like the basement of this girls' dormitory, and there was like a coffee shop in the basement of a girls' dormitory at Roberts, and I remember we played there together.
Yeah.
But I don't think I actually played with bands. I think usually it was like I'd like find a coffee shop, and it wasn't too bad. Like coffee shops, for whatever reason, would give you like $50 to play.
Yeah.
And I just played my shitty songs for $50 so, a couple times, and I remember like just doing that like every weekend for some reason.
Yeah.
I think it just felt excited.
Oh
like,
yeah, and
feel important.
$50 just to sit and play music. Like, it's not a bad gig.
Yeah.
It's
more than we make now.
I know, right?
It's more than our band makes now. So
now, I know that there are MySpace pages for these two projects. I don't know the order in which they came, but I know there was Marion Crane Murder and Vampires of Normandy. Wasn't Marion Crane Murder something that happened before the piano thing?
Yeah, I think it was. That was just me and my cousin. Because my cousin played drums, and he played guitar. And whenever we saw each other, we just that was the only thing we really wanted to do together was play music or play video games. So I remember we used to play music and just try to record it. And I think I had just been introduced to Audacity, so I was like we could start a band, we could record, and it was just like a computer mic that we're using right now to record the entire thing. But I remember we made a MySpace for that and just made 4 or 5 songs, and it was really, I think it was really cheesy, but I think it was just fun. There was no practice that went into it. We wrote the songs that day, and recorded them that day, and made up the lyrics that day, and, and it was what it was. So.
Vampires of Normandy.
That wasn't really even a thing, and I don't really know why it's still a thing. And I think the only reason
it's still a MySpace page with music on it.
It was so you know how me and John had all kinds of silly projects that never came to fruition. I think that was me and Eric's version of that. That was our your
cousin Eric.
Yeah, my cousin Eric, not Eric Freight.
So this was still pre the Wear and pre John Kiss entering your life.
Yeah, so John wasn't even in my life at this point, so this is going back.
Dark ages.
It's the dark ages. So I mean, I think that was a year before I ever met John.
Yeah. Now, so the next thing in your musical journey probably was The Where.
Yeah, the Where was a funny story because I was playing my piano thing already at this point, and I really had absolutely no direction as far as like I wasn't really looking to join a band. But I remember walking upstairs in the guy's dormitory at the time, and I overheard John and Ward talking about how they wanted to start a band.
Yeah.
Not knowing who they were, I was just like, oh, I want to be in a band. Like, oh, well, we're looking for a vocalist, and I was like, okay, well. So I showed them the Marion Crane like demo or whatever it was, and I said, well, maybe I could be your vocalist. And they didn't believe that was me. They refused to believe that was me.
Well, they only knew you through the piano thing, right?
Yeah. They I think John had seen me once, the piano thing, and he thought, I don't know what he thought. Like if you play piano, you don't make loud noises or something. I don't know. So then we just were all they wanted to do was record like a funny video. I think they were doing this video thing. I forget what the video production thing they were trying to start was.
I know what you're talking about, and I can't remember the name of it.
Maybe post production. I have to figure that out for this podcast.
I'll find it.
It's gonna drive me nuts, and I can't think of it. So they I think they just want to do like a joke, like a parody of the Who, but just make it like louder and have less. So the band that would have no structure and just destroy everything.
Yeah.
And they wanted to call it The Where. And so I was like, well, okay, so it'll be fun just to record it. So we recorded it in Ward's room, and like tore his room apart while we were doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not tore his room apart, but we just kind of were crazy in his room, and then after that, somehow we decided that we were going to set up all of our gear in the girls' dormitory at late at night and just bang on drums and play the guitar and scream, and I don't know, like it became more of like a stunt, like a prank, like just to play like horrible music, and then I don't really know how it evolved to the point where eventually we planned to play a show. So I don't know how that evolved, but it never really evolved. It stayed this kind of I don't know, cacophony of sound, and just it was pretty bad.
It was bad and also awesome.
Yeah.
Because it was so bad.
I think the only thing about it that was exciting was that we broke a lot of stuff on stage. Like we broke a toilet, we broke a TV, we broke like a whole box of CD cases. We would like dump shredded paper all over the place. We would like climb on the ceilings. We did all kinds of stuff, and it was just more fun, I think, for people to watch what was going to be broken or what was going to be destroyed. But we set a computer on fire. And there wasn't really any emphasis on the music. It was all really about like what kind of theatrics are we going to pull off, and I think just what was exciting was just the environment of, oh look, we're finally, for me personally, like finally I'm in something that has an entity as a band, and there's energy and it feels fun to play, because I wanted that, but I think I still wanted something like more musically driven, but this was what it was for now.
Yeah, so, and that was your first like experience like playing shows with other bands, really, right? Yeah,
because the Where somehow made its way down to Pennsylvania. Played with Condition Oakland and all those guys.
Already gone.
Yeah, it wasn't even Condition Oakland. That's how old this is.
And Red Eyes.
Did we play with you guys? Yeah, we did.
We did a weekend together.
We did a weekend.
You got to tell the story about the birthday party.
Oh yeah. I mean, someone has to really know how terrible the wear is to fully appreciate the story. But
I'll put some clips in the episode.
Oh God.
Just clips, not too much.
Yeah, traumatize people. So we had a show booked without really any clear confirmation that the show was going on. Still, we were booked at this little town theater near Narrowsburg, New York. It is technically it's right in the border of Pennsylvania and New York, and the show was canceled, and in its place there was a girl holding her Sweet 16 birthday party.
And didn't John know about this ahead of time?
I don't know.
He told us that he knew and didn't tell us to lie.
I don't remember that part of the story, but so someone knew that it was canceled, and we still played, or we still showed up, and we would go downstairs with our stuff, thinking that we're going to play a show, and it's really just a girl and all her friends who are about 15, 16 years old at their birthday
16.
party. So someone asks if we can still play. Which is the dumbest thing to do, and there's a town court upstairs too. Which
we didn't know at the
part of the
time.
story. Yeah, they're holding a session of some. I don't know what kind of court it is. If it's, I think it's the only court in town, so it's probably everything. It's like family court, traffic court, everything. So, they were like, sure, you guys can play at our party or whatever. So both our bands played. They liked your band because you did some covers.
We did. We covered Fall Out Boy.
And then when our band played, they...
which I played with you guys.
Did you?
Yeah, I played bass.
And you weren't even in the band. You just jumped on the band.
But I was in the band for that weekend.
But it didn't matter because the band was so horrible. You wouldn't have known. You wouldn't have known who was actually in it. And then the father stopped us like half a song in because I guess the judge from upstairs had heard the band playing, and it was so horrible that we had to stop so they can continue their session. So that show was all about 15 minutes. It wasn't even a show. It was we didn't belong there, and I don't know why in God's name we decided that was okay to like invade someone's.
We just didn't care.
That's true. I think the premise of any listeners is like the beginning of like me playing music is we didn't care about anything, and we just would do all kinds of ridiculous shit. So, and I'm pretty sure we ran away. We got some legal issues that night. That same night.
We set off some fireworks in the middle of the road and then had to hide in bushes while cops drove by. No exaggeration, that definitely happened.
Yeah, that was.
So what? In the Where, you guys put out a couple releases, right?
They were recorded in our bedroom, in my dorm room.
Yeah.
Because I was in college, and they were recorded with a computer mic. And there was no no takes or anything. There was no like any care given to how it was put together. Like things were like off timing and like, but we did, and I think we just gave. I don't know if we really charged money for them or we gave them out for free, just wherever we played.
Yeah. Then you guys play with some like, not like bigger bands, but bands that weren't just locals as well. So you played with Mensria?
We played with Mensria, which is a band that has one of the guys from Guar in it, and I remember like John and me having this like the guy from Guar giving us a pep talk on how we shouldn't give up on our dreams even though our band sucks. like hey, he's like, hey Guar, nobody liked Guar in the beginning, and look at us, and I'm like oh great, now I could be like just like Guar. So that was like the only time I think that we were. But then that's when we kind of, I think, started to split ways a little bit at that point, because I was like, we were more looking to do, I think, something a little more musically driven. Like I think it got old pretty quick that we were just playing racket and destroying stuff on stage. And I think we were kind of like, let's actually like play music. And I think John wanted to do that because he was already writing some songs for what would be the Dignitaries, which was also another band that went through several stages, and again wasn't what I personally was looking for, but. Again, I feel like all these bands were getting me closer to what I really wanted to do, was be what I thought was a quote-unquote real band, like an actual, like musically and having that same stage energy. I wanted that band experience, and so all these things were evolutions trying to get me closer and closer to that. And so
Yeah.
it took a long time for that to happen because I had to go through all this.
Yeah.
But
So-
I wouldn't trade it for the world because it was fun. It was
Yeah.
fun to do all this stuff.
So the Where just kind of like it just kind of fizzled out, lost an interest, or
I lost the interest, and we had a talk with the drummer of like, do you think you could actually play something a little different, or maybe like put some more structure behind it, so we can actually maybe try to turn the band into like a music, more of a have some kind of actual musicality behind it. And he was like, "Well, actually, I quit yesterday," and I'm like, "How? Because we didn't even know this yesterday." So I think he got pretty defensive about it, and that was kind of the end of the Where. And then it was just me and John, and so I was like, "Well, we don't have a drummer,"
yeah,
so that's when I started playing drums. I
Yeah.
brought a drum set from Andrew Alvarez for $100. It was I don't know what kind of drums it was.
it lasted you a long time.
Yeah, it was it was a old clunker, but it made it work.
Yeah. And so the Dignitaries was what came next.
The Dignitaries came next, and that was just started John playing guitar, singing, and me playing drums. And I've never played drums in my life, so it was kind of an interesting experience. So I really don't know how people perceive that at all. But
Yeah.
we played a couple house shows. I think that's where we met some of the real people in the scene at the time, at least in Rochester, because we had just played these random shows in the Where. They weren't real things. We had no exposure to the real music scene in Rochester. It was just kind of this insulated bubble of we're playing our own stuff, except for playing in Pennsylvania and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think the Dignitaries, we saw kind of a crack into the world of Rochester music, and so I think that's when it even piqued my curiosity more. Like I want to start something a little more serious than even this.
Yeah.
I think John felt that way too, because we both kind of gave up on the Dignitaries at some point. So
Yeah. When you guys were still doing that alongside of Vomitus, which we'll get to that in a minute for a little while.
yeah, but there's something that came after, because right after the Where was done, and Dignitaries was like kind of going. I started a band with Trevor Lake called Urban Arson, and John was in and out of that band, and I think like Austin was in the band for like half a second, and Zane was in the band for half a second.
Yeah.
From Defects / Flip Shit, and that band was actually kind of cool.
It was.
It was like a thrash band, and we had like maybe 5 songs. We played like 3 shows, maybe. I think we played Penny Arcade, we played Pennsylvania, and I think we played like Roberts or something.
Yeah, I think it was at. You guys played at Tyler Troutman's house.
Yeah.
That was before it was called the Greenleaf. It was just Tyler Troutman's house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going back a ways.
Yeah.
But that band, I think that band, I got really excited because I was playing guitar and I was like, this is kind of what I want. Like I wanted like have more of a serious, like, because all the other bands were like joke bands. They were like goofy. They were like parodies. They weren't structured. And this band was like, I think me and John were excited about it because it was like serious. It was like it had this, I don't know, more structure behind it.
Yeah.
All right, it didn't hold up very long.
Is there a reason why there's like a mass of people back there like 700 feet away? Get up here and circle the pit. This song is called Black Smoke on the Horizon.
going to move quickly. I'm going to name some stuff, and you're going to tell me what it's all about. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it. But tell me about Something Better Records.
Something Better Records is something awful. It was, I think, just it was wrapped up in the whole MySpace craze. We're just thinking that you can have something just because you have it on MySpace.
Yeah.
Which is completely untrue. MySpace is just a page, and if you say that you have a record label, you don't actually have a record label. So it didn't really exist. We tried to make a distribution site. I think there was a goal, like a community of people trading shows, and it was mislabeled. I think it could have been cool, but it was mislabeled, and it had kind of unrealistic expectations.
I think that's kind of what like Paperclip Distro morphed into.
Yeah, I think Paperclip Distro was trying to do that. Like, it simply was just, hey, you're from this area, we're from this area. Let's give each other our CDs, pass them out at shows. Let's advertise for you, you advertise for us. Let's book you, let's book, like, just trade. Just have kind of parity between two areas. And it was kind of cool when it was working. But Something Better was, I think, like the dumb attempt to make yourself important by making a MySpace page about it.
Yeah.
Which,
well, I remember too. Like, I think that was just kind of an outgrowth of our friend group.
Yeah,
we just wanted to.
We put some other people on that we didn't really know.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, which that was weird, but that core group of us with Red Eyes and you and the Wear, whenever that may have been pre the Wear, wasn't it?
Maybe, yeah, I think it was.
And then he wasn't on it, but we would all play shows with Tom McCarthy.
Yeah.
And
well, I think it just kind of signified that I think all of us wanted to do something more than we were doing.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of behind the name too. Wanted to do something a little bit better.
And also from a Red Eyes for Blue Skies lyric, that was "Close your eyes and dream for something better."
Was that really? Oh.
Yeah.
See,
I think that's where
you know stuff I don't know.
I think that's where I got the idea for the name. And Dan Kushner was on the label. In air quotes.
And there's a band called Shot to Pieces that want us to give them $500. Can we put them on here?
I don't know. I'll track down the members of Shot to Pieces.
Let's just put their MySpace on here, and
maybe
people we can start a what is it? GoFundMe, so they can finally get their $500 for their EP.
Oh man! All right, so I'm gonna name a couple more random things, and then we'll get into the more recent past and some of those things. What do you know about disproportionate manslaughter?
I know a disproportionate amount about it. It was me and John loved to listen to grindcore and cyber grind and bands that had more movie audio clips than they actually had music. And so we're like, let's make a parody where something is literally just this shitty lo-fi grindcore and just mainly audio clips, and that's where that came from.
Yeah.
And
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, I think that stuff.
You're the biggest fan.
I am. I want to
You're gonna start the community.
A man with 3 buttocks.
Good evening.
All right, Astrophilosophy, Microstrand _36.
I think John named that, or maybe John named that together. It was instrumental kind of noise. The whole idea was that one person would record a track, mute the track, blindly go in and record another track and see how the tracks overlap together, and then use different sound effects just to see where, how would the tracks naturally come together. And so it was kind of nice because it was, I think, our introduction to noise in some ways, and that's how we met Eric Freight.
Yeah.
We played a couple shows as Astrophilosophy. Again, we would just show up places in masks and costumes, which was part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
We even danced in a nightclub at one point with some random people in our masks, and we had these names and these whole backstory, and we would recruit other people to be in the band, and then we met Eric Freight at a show. He was Taurus, maybe? Taurus? I can't remember the name of the band. Eric Freight had a toilet full of porn magazines, and he was smashing it on stage. That was his set.
Yeah.
And he would just scream a few things in a microphone. And then we did the Astro thing. and that's where we met him. And then he played a show with us, and then we were best buddies ever since.
And that was also, I mean, that continued for a while and off and on, but that was also like a secret as far as it wasn't.
Oh yeah, I'm not in that band.
Yeah. Well, John already ruined that.
Yeah.
He admitted.
I think
it on his
everyone
podcast
knows like
episode.
John's like personality and my
John-
personality and like the combination of us together. So I think
Yeah.
people just knew when you walked in the room.
Well, I think
Except for Dorothy one time, she legitimately did not know who it was.
Yeah, she said she figured it out later.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, those of you that listen to the podcast that know Dorothy Ross may have even seen she's posted videos of astrophilosophy showing up at art night on a Wednesday night. But yeah, John kind of outed himself and in turn the rest of us on his podcast episode. And John's still releasing music as astrophilosophy.
Yeah, he's the only one. He's the only one in it. So
Yeah.
no, and we haven't. I mean, we had talked about maybe doing it again at some point, but we're kind of. I think we're far apart. It's hard to do that.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I think of all the goofy things. It was goofy and it was kind of silly, but I think it was kind of a fun process to do.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun to actually like set up those kind of shows where you just walk into a show and put yourself on it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And when nothing ever bad really happened when you got on shows.
Hello?
Alright, one more random thing before we kind of move into some other things. Impact the Clowns. I legitimately don't know what Impact the Clowns
I legitimately don't think it was really a thing. I think it was. I think someone had the idea at one show to play a fake, to be in a band that didn't exist on top of the band that we were supposed to be playing as. That was just one breakdown the entire time, and I think like seconds before we played this like one big breakdown, it was just someone. I want to say it was Ward. No, Ward. I don't know if Ward was even around at this point. Maybe John. Ryan Jeffrey might have been in it. I don't know. We just said we're going to call it Impact the Clowns because like all those bands at the time had like noun or verb the noun or whatever it was. So we were going to be I don't know why that, but so it was just one breakdown the whole time. I don't know how well. I think it was improvised. So
And that wasn't. There's not a MySpace.
there's no recording. There's
Yeah.
no MySpace. There's just that one time we decided to name it. So that's why I don't know if I really count that as anything.
Yeah. Well, John brought it up about a week ago on that Facebook thing. So that's the only reason I brought it on here.
John's secretly recording the full length.
All right. So we've moved to. This is not a fun part of your history, but you guys played a lot of shows. Vomitous Society.
Oh, I hate this part of this. I think I hate this more than like any of the joke bands that came before, because this wasn't a joke band. And I think me and John should have just stayed me and John, because me and John had some cool songs written, and I think John and I should have split the vocals, and it was supposed to be like, I think we really got into grindcore at the time, like power violence, and we wanted to start a power violence band, but I don't think me or him had like the musicality to do it. But I think we tried, and I think it was kind of cool what we had. But then we found a guy, and I'm just going to leave his name off the record. But we found a guy to sing for us, and he was full of himself. He was full of himself, and he was terrible. So those two combinations don't go very well together, thinking you're the best and actually being the worst. And so I think that just really hurt our reputation as a band, and like people who knew us who. I don't think we had a good reputation going into it. If you've been listening to this podcast and you actually checked out these bands, I think like people thought we were a big joke. And this is a time when I really want to say, hey, I don't want to be in a joke. And it just ended up being a bigger joke at that time.
Yeah.
So, but it went on for a year. We played it for a year. We played mainly in Pennsylvania more than we did in Rochester.
You guys were coming to Pennsylvania like every other weekend.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
And like I had this I remember I booked Magruder Grind, and we played to play with them, and then Magruder Grind bailed like maybe I think like the night before the show.
Or the day of. It was something crazy.
Yeah, it was like right before, and we still had kind of played it, but.
Yeah, well, because I came up for that show. I rode in the van. I sat on the floor of Chariot of the Gods van for 4 hours talking about, because they were playing the Magruder Grind show.
And I don't remember who else played. I think like Lovepork played.
Yeah, and I think they showed up late and weren't, I don't know, something weird with that.
Something happened. I don't know. There's some kind of issue with that. Somebody damaged something at the Flying Squirrel.
So the story of the Flying Squirrel.
I think that's like the tradition of the Flying Squirrel. Someone breaks something at the Flying Squirrel, but
yeah. What about the ska band you were in around that time?
Yeah, it was a very brief-lived thing. All these things are like, so there's all these band names, but they represent like a time when we practiced or a time when we like played a show. And it was, but this particular thing, it was a guy I had worked for this agency that ran group homes, and somehow he worked for another group home, and he worked at ours part-time and something like that. And I didn't even know who he was, but he recognized me, and I saw him in a Dunkin' Donuts, and he was like, "Hey, why don't we be in a band together?" And I was like, "I don't know who the fuck you are, but sure, why not?" So he's like, "I like ska. Do you like ska?" And I'm like, it's not my like favorite, but like let's do it. So me and John, he played trombone, John played guitar. There was no bassist. Or no, maybe Ryan Jeffrey played bass.
Nate
Stenberg played bass.
Yeah,
who also played bass in Vomitus as part of
sometimes.
his school experiment. And I played drums, and we played one show. And I remember we all took off our shirts during the show, which really offended the guy, because he was very I don't know what the word is, but he's conservative, like shy.
Personality wise.
Yeah, and like we
every sense of the word.
After the show we like jaywalked, and he got really mad and offended that we jaywalked, and like we broke the law. And so
let's not do that again.
And obviously we don't exactly, we swear a lot, so I don't think he liked that either. So he quit the band. He wanted to drive home that night, so, which is like kind of like sad in retrospect, but it wasn't working. So Baba Ganoush lasted one show in like maybe 4 or 5 practices, but it wasn't really a thing.
All right, yeah, that was a show I booked in Bloomsburg. I remember being a lot like that, and also you guys practiced in my little apartment, like Vomitus Society and Baba Ganoush.
Yeah.
Like,
why would we do that?
Like, this tiny little apartment with this little old lady that lived below us, and we just didn't like. She never said anything about it. I know she was like kind of deaf, but like, it's like so weird to think about. Like,
I guess they have their TV up really loud, and it's really shitty.
All right, 2 more bands before we talk about the end of Vomitus.
Okay.
Because these are random bands that I found in pictures, like Facebook albums. Okay. Pigs on Parade and Mindless Violence.
Those, again, I think those were just one time, like, trying to rebrand ourselves. I think Vomitus Society was hurting us so bad that me and John kept trying to rebrand ourselves. And I don't know if John felt that way, that we were hurting ourselves, because we still were excited because we liked creating stuff together. But I think we kept wanting to rebrand ourselves and try different things. And so we would play like a show as these new identities. And I don't really think I think they were supposed to be like power violence punk or like some variation of Vomitus without the guy who was the vocalist. So
Yeah, or not him on vocal. I think he played drums in one of them, but I don't remember.
maybe Mindless Violence. But again, that was, I don't even know what that really was. I don't know if that even played a show.
No, you did, because it's in pictures I have. From
See,
shows
I
in
don't even remember this.
See, I was digging deep.
Wow.
I mean, look at this.
You did your research.
Yeah. Well,
There's like a dungeon somewhere, and there's these old tomes of like we had to blow off the cobwebs, and you could find out what band we were in.
Yeah, no. If I'm going to do this, I want to go into as much detail as possible.
Yeah.
All right, so now we can move on into the modern era.
Okay.
Shall we say?
Which we should say that Vomitus ended in a blaze of glory because I got so mad.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, talk about the end of that into the beginning of Endangered Youth.
We were playing, and again, this is all. I mean, the history is relevant because all I wanted was to play in a real band.
Yeah.
And all these bands were like struggling to get to that point where, and I think John had the same sentiment. Like we wanted to get respect as musicians, which I think we had to slowly earn, and as performers and as people in the scene. And work our way in. It took forever. So Vomitus, again, was one big slap in the face that just wasn't coming together. Me and John put all this work into it, and it wasn't coming together. But I finally, like, that dude was such an asshole on that weekend in Pennsylvania. He was, like calling out people in the audience and stuff. I just couldn't stand it. So finally we were playing Tyler's house, Greenleaf. And I don't know if it was called Greenleaf back then. And I got mad. I remember, like, the very last song, I, like, threw my drums. I just, like, wrecked my drum set. And I set off fireworks in my snare drum, and I yelled in the street or something. I don't know. I was pretty pissed.
Yeah, it definitely moved onto the street.
Which was like half theatrics, and it was half like I was like actually pissed that this was just such a shitty band, and that was the end of it. I think I told like Ryan like as I walked. Oh, see, I just named him by accident.
It doesn't matter.
I think
John named him in his podcast.
Yeah, I think I walked. I remember walking out fuck you, like you're an asshole, and then I blew up my snare drum with fireworks. But see, the whole snare drum was gonna go anyways, and I bought a nice new one, but I was like, it's a good way to send it on its way.
And so, how did Endangered Youth form? I mean, obviously, I know the story.
Yeah, because you were in it.
Yeah.
So this was still again, that had ended, and you were living in Pennsylvania. I was living in New York, and I really wanted to cope with a stressful job, and I really wanted that band that never came to pass. So I remember we were talking about the longest time. If you move up, we're starting a band.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be the band. It's gonna be the band that finally sounds good. After all this other stuff, it's gonna and John was of course on board too, interested in it.
Well, this was after I'd gone through a end of a serious relationship, and I had a lot of angst and was ready to get the hell out of Pennsylvania.
You were getting out of a relationship. I was trying to cope with a stressful job, and we were trying to both me and John wanted to get a band that had that respect and was in the music community. So I remember pacing around the place where I worked on the phone with you sometimes once a week, just hopeful and optimistic and talking about starting that band as an escape. And writing the lyrics early on, before you even came up, writing the lyrics and writing all this stuff for what would be the first couple songs. We're Not Getting Any Younger, Modern Day in My Mind, and Not So I've Been Told. That wasn't written yet.
Lights Out, but Lights Out, the lyrics didn't get written.
No, we wrote that together. But I remember We're Not Getting Younger, Modern Day in My Mind. Those ones were the only ones I wrote, but I wrote the music for Lights Out, but there's no lyrics yet. And then I remember sending these scratch tracks to you through the email.
Yeah.
And I would whisper. I didn't have the scream that I felt fit, so I would kind of whispered the scream on there so that you could, and then you would record them with Rob. You'd record them over top.
Yeah.
And then it was it actually sounded half decent.
Yeah.
For what it was, and then we had some basic structure. So then when you came up to Rochester, you finally moved up here. We needed to find someone who would play guitar because I planned on playing drums. Even though I wrote the guitar for those first couple songs, I wanted to show someone how to play those few songs, and we had a hell of a time finding someone to play guitar. we had all. I mean, we had to have a whole separate podcast just for those auditions of trying to find someone.
Yeah.
And then
we gotta tell them about D Flips.
I say for another time, maybe. D-Flips is his own story. We can go on some big tangents here. But eventually we came upon Josh Richards. We actually asked Eric Freight first, and he said no. And then we came upon Josh Richards, who agreed to do it. Joey Lanzone wanted to do it, but I think I told him, like, fuck you, you're too young or something. He was, like, 14, and he emailed me, like, can I be in your band? And I was like, no, I don't even know who he was, but...
Yeah, that was before we met him.
He was like, I'll be in your band. So then Josh Richards said yes, who was in Silverfish, who is still in Silverfish because they've reunited.
Yeah.
And we played our first show all together. We kind of put together the songs that I had written, and Josh put his flair on them. And then we also wrote a fourth song called "So I've Been Told," which was kind of our radio hit. So I hear.
Yeah. I mean, it's gotten some radio airplay.
Yeah, and then we played in the basement with Silverfish, obviously.
Silverfish, Lyrics to Life.
Lyrics to Life, and that was
What's up, Kevin Rose?
Yeah, and that was in Greece, in some house in Greece.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a cool, like, first show. And then I think that was the moment after we played that show, I was like, we finally did. I finally played in a band that I was, like, really proud of. And, it actually had, like, music skill behind it. And it had a lot of evolving to do, but it was, like, it was an actual band.
Yeah.
And people were receptive of it. They didn't, like, kind of say, like, what the hell is this? So, I don't know. I think that was, like, I remember that being, like, the first moment I was like, okay, finally, I've done, after years and years and years of, like, trying to be in a band, that was when I finally was in a band.
Yeah.
In a band. And I was still pretty new to drums, so I really, it was kind of exciting to try to pick that up that fast.
Yeah.
And then from there... We wrote a few more songs with Josh, but Josh eventually had to part ways. I think he played with us from October that year, or May, or whatever, or no, August till May, and then we had to find a new guitarist. So I messaged Eric Freight again, who was in Dr. Zayas. He was in his own project, New Malice.
Yeah.
What else did Eric do? He did noise stuff. So anyways, he said no again, but then he said yes finally. He emailed me the next day. He's like, I thought about it, and I decided that I should do this. And so he was really serious about it. So he learned the songs. He put his twist again on the songs, which was probably the best thing that ever happened to them. And then we wrote a whole new set of songs with him.
Yeah.
That whole summer, which led us to the fall, winter, when we started thinking about recording Furtherance.
Yeah, well, we put out some releases before Furtherance too, which...
Yeah, we recorded those first two songs that we had with Josh, which, was an interesting way of trying to record those.
Yeah.
But we just put them, we made like 300 of those or 400 of those or something. And
the Stand Your Ground.
Yeah, Stand Your Ground EP, and we just put them everywhere in the city. We just dumped them off at places. And people found them. People would be like, oh, I found your CD at, like, Crudco, or I found your CD at the Flying Squirrel, or I found it here or there. We'd make like weekly runs and drop off batches of like 20 CDs in a random spot.
Yeah.
They were just wrapped in paper, and there was like a little cover art for it.
I think that did a lot for us as far as getting our name out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did a split with Condition Oakland and Kaleidoscopes. We did a 3-way where we recorded Lights Out, and I think Modern Day My Mind was again on that.
I think so.
That was with Josh.
Yeah.
And then I guess that was all before Eric joined the band, so that was still that winter.
And we did a little tour too.
Yeah. Well, we played. I don't know. We played
like
another
5 or
year.
6 days.
Yeah, we played for a few months before we did that, and things were going well. So we booked our own tour, and it was a lot of hard work because we had to make all the contacts ourselves. We played.
We didn't know what we were doing.
Just east,
Yeah.
northeast. So it was Boston area, Brooklyn, back down through Pennsylvania again, because we've known people from Pennsylvania for a long time.
Yeah.
And then Cortland, New York, which was interesting place to play. It was probably the worst place we've ever played. And then back up to Rochester again. And I just remember that Cortland show. I was just telling someone about that the other day. Like, my dog is not really whiny right now. There was, I don't know, it was a really bro-y bar, and there was this really shitty metal band that played. And I don't even know what they were called. And then, like, this guy, I came out of the bathroom stall, and this guy, like, punched me. And he was like, "Get the fuck out of here." And I was like, so I was really mad. I didn't fight him or anything. I just kind of walked. I was trying to get out of there, so I walked away. But I had all this, like, adrenaline pumping, and I was mad. And someone, like, attacked me. And so I walked out of the back of the venue. And this was after we played, so this girl was, like, sitting in the back of her car, and she's like, "Nice set, man." And I was like, go fuck yourself. I was just so mad because I got, like, attacked. I didn't mean to, like, be mean to her. But then the next day on Facebook, she, like, added our band. Like, and because I remember her face, and I was like, and I think she sent us a message, but I don't remember what it was. But she was all excited about it. So I guess it didn't hurt our band image to swear at our fans.
I mean, it was pretty damn punk.
Yeah, I guess so. So turned over the tables at the buck jar once. Got angry a lot in that band.
Oh yeah, Eric was in the band when that happened.
Flipped our merch table. I don't know. I don't know why. It's funny. I think it was funny. It was kind of funny even like immediately afterwards, a little bit too.
Yeah.
But it's funnier now. So
You probably don't even remember what you were mad about.
I don't know what I was mad about.
Yeah.
I was mad enough to flip a table. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, my girlfriend at the time, she was like, "I just heard Steve go into the bathroom and scream, 'Fuck John, fuck Eric, fuck Adam, and fuck this band.'"
See, I think there was too much pressure on that band still. Like, I think I put too much pressure on myself that, like, I could not make a mistake. Like, I put so much into this band, and I think it really wasn't about the band. I was projecting onto the band my frustrations that were going on in my personal life, and I just took it out on the band, which was not fair to the band. But I think and I really had to confront. There was other issues going on in my life that's where I was that mad enough to do that, but it had nothing to do with the band. But something went wrong, like we messed up a song or something, I would get really pissed off. But it really wasn't about that. It was because I couldn't deal with the stuff in my life at the time, which I did. It made everything better, but I think at the time that's where a lot of that came out of.
Yeah.
So.
And tell me about Furtherance, the recording process and the release of it and all of that stuff.
Furtherance was kind of like, it's a long process of writing songs, because it had some of the songs that we had previously put together with Josh, and some of the ones we put together with Eric. So it was kind of culmination of all the band's, I think, work at the time. And we recorded with a guy that Eric knows, Matt Oyer, and Matty O, and he worked for Blue Dog, some kind of dog studio. Black Dog Studios.
Yeah.
Who I guess originally did Metallica's album back in the day.
Yeah,
not Matt. Yeah.
Kill 'Em All.
Yeah, Kill 'Em All was recorded there. Just a fun history fact. But Matt hadn't really recorded anything heavy. I think at the time it was our first, so he was kind of curious to get his feet wet doing something a little different. So he did us for free. One, because he had known Eric for so long, and two, just because I think he wanted to try it out with his own home studio equipment. So we did it with him. So we released it ourselves. We packaged a shit ton of those CDs and had a release show for it. I don't know, am I missing something about that?
I don't know. I can't think of any, like...
I don't know. That was about it. I think that was like, at that point too, again, there's these markers I think about that were like really, I was really proud of. I was proud of playing that first show as Endangered Youth because that was like, okay, we're in a real band now that plays real music. And I was really proud of releasing that album because I was like, we finally released an album.
Yeah.
The third marker, I think, comes at the end of Endangered Youth when we broke up. We broke up twice. We broke up the first time at the end of.
Well, technically, we didn't break up the second time.
Technically, we're still together.
Yeah.
So we have an open relationship.
Yeah.
I just remember playing that last show. It was like August 2012, right?
Yeah.
In the Meat Grinder. And I'm not gonna give a concise history of the Meat Grinder because it's just.
That could be a whole other separate
Yeah.
podcast, and we're already like.
But I lived there for a short time, and that was the end of the Endangered Youth days. And we played a show, and it was fun. And I just remember people like singing all the words back to Furtherance as we played, and I felt like that was like probably the most meaningful music experience after doing that for I don't know years and years and years of trying to get something legitimately, you know, that was respected musically, and then we had people who knew our words. So I know that's pretty exciting.
So why did Endangered, from your viewpoint, because obviously I could give my viewpoint, but what happened that Endangered Youth had to stop that first time around?
Too much external problems and mental health issues, I think, of everyone involved. Two people were going through divorce. I think everyone was going through depression.
Yeah. We were all like, the three out of the four of us were living in the same house.
People were living together, and financially we were stressed. I mean, everything that could be an issue, I think, was an issue, and I think we couldn't even like be happy when we were around each other anymore. Like we weren't it was tearing apart our friendship to keep trying to do something like that. And I think we really need to address our own individual issues in our lives, so we just decided to end it. And I think it was kind of collective. Everyone was like, let's end it on a good note. Let's not like crash and burn. But it was only a few months later after that show that we were like, things had somewhat resolved in people's lives a little bit. We're a little further from those problems to say, let's try it again. And that's when we reunited, I think, in like December or January that year, like 6 months later. Yeah. Which we played for another 5 or 6 months, and then we went on hiatus just because I was going back to school, grad school, and I just didn't think I could kind of keep up with that at the same time. And I think that project kind of came to the only thing my regret is that we didn't record the new songs we wrote. I mean, there's all like videos of the new stuff we wrote. We've never recorded even another EP. So a lot of that stuff was, I don't want to say lost because it's in video, but it never got, I think, the recording time it deserved because we worked quite hard on those songs.
This was going on during Endangered Youth, but what was American Prison?
American Prison was, you were involved heavily in the writing of American Prison, because I had a medical procedure done where I was under full anesthesia, and when I came back out of it, I was still loopy, and I think I remember you telling me, let's record music while you're in this state. So we went to my house and recorded some kind of techno noise music while I was half drugged up from whatever they gave me. And it was coming out. I remember getting more and more lucid as we were recording, but I don't remember even doing it, half of it. I don't remember even getting to my house. So somehow we recorded half that EP without me even remembering that it happened. And then we played a one-time kind of performance art piece with that in the background, where we I don't know, it was like an anti-war piece, and kind of did a whole theatric behind that in a meat grinder. Al Brundage was excited about it.
Weren't there some fireworks involved?
I think we used fireworks to simulate gunfire. We just set them off at at people's feet. And we smoked out the basement, and I don't know. There were ski masks involved. There was a lot of yelling and noise and shouting. But it was interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not the most thought through piece, but it was interesting.
Yeah, we put it together in kind of in a short amount of time, and it was fun. And
I'm glad you had the idea to make us go record. I don't know if I had the idea or you did. I think you did because I don't really remember it even happening.
Yeah, so. I don't even know if there's.
Maybe you were on drugs too. you don't even remember.
Yeah, I don't remember that conversation.
Yeah,
like telling you that we should record. Like, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. No one was there to record us not remembering.
Okay, well, there's a couple other random things before we move into our current band. Mm-hmm. Chronicle.
Oh yeah, Chronicle. I forgot about Chronicle.
I did too until a couple minutes ago when I jotted it down.
Chronicle was a noise binaural beat. I wouldn't call it. You can't even call it noise. It's just binaural beat ambient stuff that I did for fun by myself. I would take some music and slow it down to really long, one note, two notes, and just slow it down to 10 minutes of a song, and kind of do these effects behind it and put binaural beats in it. And I don't know. It was fun. Yeah. Experimenting with different sounds.
I still have a whole bunch of the business cards you made with the link to the Bandcamp.
Really?
Yeah.
I made cards for that.
Yeah, you made download business cards.
See, if this was an interview, it was someone that I didn't know asking me about music history, I would have left out 90% of the stuff because I don't remember.
I feel like there's a very specific audience that's going to be interested in this, and not. Yeah. There's a lot of people who just aren't going to care, but
yeah.
I mean,
well, I think I was influenced by Brian Eno a lot too, so I wanted to have my own Brian Eno piece, I guess. Even he didn't do binaural beats, but I think I just was really influenced by him.
Yeah. So. And okay, what was Male Sex?
That was with John Beard, and it was originally just a digital cyber grind thing with a lot of heavy on the noise, but then it became this thing where I would play drums and Sean had this little keyboard thing. I think it was a keyboard, and
it was
I don't know what it was, but he'd play it through an amp with distortion.
Yeah,
and it was kind of we were supposed to do that live, and we just practiced it a lot after the we wanted to do a 2-inch CD split or something, and I don't know, and it never happened. So I don't think I don't really know what happened. I just don't think we had any follow through with it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Sean Beard, we don't have to get into any personal stories there, but did you play in a couple other projects with him that I think I've got some recordings of?
Well, we did play in Pornographic Images, which played us a set in Avery's basement.
Yeah.
I don't know what else we did with Sean.
Were you in LA Wannabes?
Oh, LA Wannabes, yeah. I played guitar for LA. That was Glendy and John, and I don't know if Sean Beard was Sean Beard in the band.
I don't remember.
I don't know if he was. I don't think he was. I think it was just me, John, and Glendy in LA Wannabes. Yeah. We recorded something, but I don't even remember that we recorded it because the only way I remember that is you told me. So
yeah, I've got those recordings too.
Yeah,
I think I played one. I definitely played LA Wannabes in John's episode.
But that was not. I think that was kind of back to the whole thing of there was no one wrote. I didn't sit down and write the songs. I just jammed out a few riffs and it became a song. And it was 3 chords, so I remember what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that's so cool about all of these different projects. Is just
a lot more spontaneous.
It was spontaneous, but it was still creative and fun and
Pornographic Images was actually pretty good considering that was all improv and
yeah, it's a pretty cool screamo.
Yeah,
a couple tracks.
Yeah,
I saw a bunch of people liked it on CHM Whack.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Is it?
Screamo.
There's another just along with Vampires of Normandy. There's a hidden community dedicated to it.
Yeah, you should talk about that for a minute before we move on.
Oh wait, no, Decimate Damnation.
It was, yeah, we did. I didn't even think about it.
That was a band again in the Ware era that me and John just made as noisy grind as we could, and I completely forgot that we recorded that and put it on MySpace until this kid from California reached out to me and said that there's this whole community of people who were back into that cyber grind thing, and I guess Decimate Damnation was a thing, and they were all into it, and they wanted to track down the people who made it, and he found me on Facebook, and he was like, I can't believe you're the one who made it. I'm like, I can't believe you're so into this that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, it's so weird.
So
the internet's a weird place.
It was a forum for it, and they had I don't know if they had not a podcast. They had something dedicated, a YouTube channel dedicated to it or something.
It's so weird.
So
You still have the messages? You gotta, because I haven't seen the actual. Like,
I don't know if I probably my Facebook somewhere.
Track that down.
So I don't think I deleted anything off of that.
Yeah. All right, one more project before we talk about TreadWater. Because you've released some music as Men Without Eyes, right?
Yeah.
Put stuff on Bandcamp or whatever?
Men Without Eyes, I think, was just me experimenting with, like, electronic stuff just for fun. And I would release it every time I made some. I'd make batches of, like, 5 or 6 songs, and I'd release it. So, I don't know. I think there's a Bandcamp for it. And, I don't know. It's not like for people who are really into EDM and stuff, I don't think it's probably would be pretty harsh in judging it because it's not that good. But I think for what it is, that I have no experience in that. I don't know. I was kind of proud of it. I was excited to make it.
Yeah.
But I don't claim to be the best EDM or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know because there's all different kinds of subgenres of that.
Yeah,
I don't even
music.
know what to call it. Just it is what it is.
Yeah.
Time to groove. Lock it down.
Alright, so there was some time that passed where you weren't really playing music publicly, and so what changed and what made you want to play again, and how did TreadWater Farm? Once again, obviously, I already kind of know the story, but for
It sounded like it said, how did TreadWater Farm?
TreadWater Farms,
Yeah.
That's my favorite kind of chocolate milk.
It's a dairy farm. I didn't play from between when Endangered Youth ended to when we started even practicing or talking about it. It was 3 years. Didn't play a single show. Didn't play anything. I never really played guitar at all. So
Except for Urban Arson.
Urban Arson, but I played like 3 power chords in Urban Arson. So I don't know if that really counts. But then I got a guitar. I got a Strat from my wife's father, my father-in-law, and I just started playing that. Playing a lot of blues on that, and I think I really got excited about playing guitar again. And something about that just felt, like it was exciting to play guitar, have an instrument to play, after work and stuff. But it didn't really fill that need, that desire, that enjoyment you get out of playing live and playing with other people.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons too I didn't play for 3 years because I went back to school, I got a job, and I got married, I bought a house, and so I had a lot of like big life things going on. So it was okay to take some time off of doing that, and that wasn't really a high priority. But then I think when I was settled, I was kind of like, I really miss this. This was like a big part of my life, since I was in high school. So I really want to get back. So I went to John was up to visit from North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And we went to a show. It was the Borns and Envious Disguise reunion.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of tagged along, and I saw Caleb Barefoot playing. And I knew you were in Rama with him in the time in between Endangered Youth and when we even talked. And And I was watching Caleb playing the Borns, and it's kind of like I don't know what you want, kind of stylistically you want to call the Borns, but
Ramones core.
But like I'm watching like Caleb, and I'm just looking like he doesn't really fit in this band. He looks like he like wants to be in a hardcore band still.
Yeah.
He looked, and I don't say he looked bored, but he just like underused or something maybe. So I was like, so after the show, I was like, hey, like, do you think you'd ever want to start something heavier again? And he was like, oh yeah, I'm cool with that. Like he was so laid back. I go, I'm cool with it. So I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's find time to practice. So like a month later, I think we finally I texted him or something or called him and said let's find a time. And obviously I think you were just like, all right, I'm playing bass. Like it wasn't like
exactly how that
happened. Like you didn't like there was no like we didn't even talk about who would play bass or how we would do it. You were just like, all right, I'm playing bass. Like you were like you're just like I'm doing this. Like But I think that's how we work at this point. We've known each other for so many years. It's like, yeah, you're playing bass. Like I just assume that you're gonna like pick up the bass and that's gonna be it.
Yeah.
So we practiced from May.
No, it was April.
Was it April?
Because I remember
late April, all the way until December when we played our first show. So we practiced for 8 months. I think we originally wanted to play in October, and it just we had tried a couple of vocalists that just didn't work out. Shout out to Avery who disappeared off the face of the earth. We just stopped coming one day, and we were hoping he was still alive.
Love you, Avery.
Yeah. So, but we had to move on with our lives. So we just moved on, and then we decided we'd just be a 3-piece and we'd do the vocals. And so we played our first show in December with Hotelier and Drews and California Cousins. So, and then it kind of got us back into it. So that was kind of exciting. I was talking about these moments where I was like, okay, because I'm really proud of this again. I think I was really proud of that because I'm back again, and I can have, I think I used to be scared. Like if I live my life, if I go get a job, if I do all those things, I'm never going to be able to have this other life on the side.
Yeah.
But I think because my wife is amazing and supportive. I think she knows that's really important to me to want to play music, and understands that that's something that I'm going to want to spend time doing. Every week practicing for 2 hours, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Of course, playing all the time at home. So, but I think that was one of those moments too where I was like, I finally got it back again, and it's like serious. It's like something that we were proud of doing. And
well, I mean, we played. It was I don't know if that show was officially sold out, but it had to be pretty dang close because it was packed.
Yeah,
it's like probably the most people that any of us had ever played in front of.
I think Endangered Youth played a bigger show at some point, but I don't know. That was pretty big. Like Bug Jar, it was a sea of people, so it was kind of exciting. It's a small place, but still kind of cool to see. And this is coming from the fact that we used to play. Going back to the beginning of the podcast, we would prank the girls' dorm room by playing. So it just seemed more legitimate to be playing a place. People know who you were from the bands you'd been in before. You had a reputation, and people come back to see you again. Even though they've never heard your band.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, I think, exciting because obviously, I do it because I like playing music, not because I'm, trying to do anything with it. But you connect to other people, so it's exciting to see the people that connected back to you on that after years and years of doing this. So, which it's been well over 10 years now that we've been at this. So
We're old as balls.
Yeah. I don't know how old they are, but we're probably just as old, if not older than them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, tell me what comes next for TreadWater and what
so
what you're looking forward to.
Literally 10 days from now, we will be going to 1809 Studios with Dave Drago. Mm-hmm. He did the first Achilles record.
It was a split, I think.
I thought it was a full length, but I don't know what it was. But maybe we can ask him.
Split with Engineer, but either way, he was Achilles.
So I think you guys knew him from Ramo because you looked him up and never ended up following through recording with him, but I think you planned to. So I called him and I said we want to do an EP, and so I don't know, we're going to do that in 10 days. So that's exciting. So we've been practicing for that. We got after we record that, we plan on putting it out. It'd be like a 5-song, I think, is the plan, 5-6 song, and then just continue writing music, put that out. We got a couple shows. We're playing in Buffalo. We got some shows here. I think we want to do some weekenders out of town, maybe with some friends' bands in the future.
If you're listening in Pennsylvania, we'll be down in the spring or summer.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is like our motherland, so we have to get down there. And I feel like maybe this is weird of me to say, but like I'm always proud to show Tyler Troutman my band, and I've because I've always like, and maybe he's more consistent with his music. He's been in Already Gone and Condition Oakland, but like we've been in like 50 bands.
Yeah, well, Tyler's got
I need the Tyler Troutman stamp.
Projects too, you know.
But I need the Tyler Troutman stamp of approval. So if he's listening, he needs to get his stamp ready, or let me know because I think I need his stamp of approval. So I don't know, it was kind of exciting. It was exciting to know that now we can have this part back. At least I can have this part back in my life again, and play music and it be casual and still like a lot of fun, and meaningful. So I don't know. I think we have Planet Works and keep going.
Until we don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. So and the band I think is interesting because it's like it doesn't sound like Endangered Youth. It's heavy, but I think there's a lot of potential to just kind of evolve and diversify its sound a lot. It's not really pigeonholed into one particular genre, so I think we could see it really evolving at post this recording, which is kind of exciting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been doing this for over an hour. I'm sure if we let ourselves go off a whole bunch of bunny trails, we could keep recording for a long time, but we've got a pretty solid episode already. So, any shout-outs before we turn off the mic?
Oh, man. I guess I got a shout-out to everyone in Pennsylvania that we've always had a solid connection with, who's like always, no matter how ridiculous our bands were, they always hook us up, and including yourself too. Like before you were, part of us up here in Rochester. So definitely to everyone there. So Tyler, Dan, Ted. There's too many names to name. Robbie, yeah. I'd say just probably to Dorothy Ross for letting us use that space, the vineyard space, to practice, and I remember we used to play there as Endangered Youth. Lisa and Boggs would let us practice there. Like to anyone who's like put up with our shit and our shenanigans for the past 10 years, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
You just heard Speak by TreadWater. That is one of the tracks on our new EP, which is called Arrows in the Sun. And that is myself and Stephen Haramis, who you just heard a lot from. And our good buddy Caleb Barefoot is on the drums. And yeah, we're real excited to have this EP done. And it is online wherever you can find great music. It's on Spotify, Bandcamp, iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, Deezer. I don't even know what Deezer is. I've never used it, but our EP is on there. So if you use it, you can listen to us there. I really hope you enjoyed my conversation with Steve. It was a lot of fun. I will be back soon. I don't know. You guys, the handful of regular listeners I've got, you guys know how it goes. I don't make promises about when I'll get episodes out anymore. But I do have some recorded, and I just got to get them edited and ready to get out to you. So until next time, go support cool music and people who do cool stuff. Later.